We are live. We're going to be more live in just a couple minutes. We're going to let people have a chance to join us and jump on the show. We got a great show, great guests as always. We always have great guests on U-Talk. I mean, come on, it's U-Talk. And on the show today, we're going to be talking about a very important issue that really is affecting a whole lot of people, not just young adults and teens, but people of all ages. And it definitely needs to be talked about. Our guest has got some great stuff to say. I want to remind you before we get started to follow us at U-Talk Radio. That's UTALK. This is U-Talk. In case you missed out, I'm Steve, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation that we have planned, the chat we have planned for the show today. I think you're going to find it very practical. I think you're going to find it very helpful, and you're going to leave with some good stuff, and also a new resource that can help you. Okay, we've got a few that have joined us. We'll give it another minute, and then we're going to jump into it. We've got way more to talk about on the show than the length of the show. It's one of those situations, there are so many things we could talk about with this topic. So our guest on U-Talk today is an international speaker. She is a singer-songwriter. She's a gamification expert, which I want to talk to her about, but we probably won't do it on this show today, who helps teens become financially smart and learn entrepreneurial skills so that they can thrive in life. Hey, I submit to you, does it get any better than that? I mean, that's great stuff. Shivani Ray has been featured on Good Morning America, NBC, Fox, ABC, and several international newspapers and magazines. I mean, she's everywhere. And today she's on U-Talk. So we're going to wait for her to request to join us, and then we'll start our chat that I think you're going to find very interesting. She's got a lot of great stuff to say. Aha. And momentarily, she will be making her way to the screen and joining us. So there she is. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Now, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, you did.
You know, there's nothing more embarrassing than being like a host and doing these kinds of things and pronouncing somebody's name wrong, you know, and most of the time they don't look at you too weird, but it's kind of like, you know, oh, great, I blew it. Anyway, Shivani, thanks for taking time to join us. This is awesome. We've been talking about this back and forth for a couple months now, I think at least, huh?
Yes, yes, we have. I'm so glad it's finally happening.
Oh, I am too, and I appreciate you reaching out to us. Okay, now before we get into the topic for the show, which is it's huge. I'm really glad that we have you, and in fact, one of our other hosts on the show, Katie, who can't be with us on the show today, said, you know, I hope she has some really good stuff because I need some help. So it's like, okay, this is great. Okay, but I have a completely random question for you. Okay. Did you have a nickname in school?
I don't know if I had a nickname in school because, well, I mean, you'll hear more about my background around like why I wasn't technically in traditional school, but I did have the nickname Shiv growing up. A lot of people have called me Shiv. I've had the nickname Panda. I don't remember where that came from, but
yeah, I was going to say, where did those come from? You know, when I was in school, they called me Sticks for two reasons. One is I played drums, and the second one was I had really skinny legs. So it kind of fit, it worked together. So we'll go with Panda. Okay. Now you had an interesting younger part of your life. Okay. I think I have this right. When you were 10, you and your family were forced out of the United States due to immigration issues. Yuck.
Yes, I know. Well, so my parents are from the UK.
Okay.
So I'm a British citizen and a US citizen. And we've been back and forth between the US and the UK for a number of times before 2010.
Okay.
And my parents always had the dream of, you know, living in the United States, and we had friends and community over here. Mm-hmm. In 2010, we got a call from our lawyer, And essentially, he was like, hey, you have two options. Number one, you stay and become illegal, or number two, you leave. And I was like,
Whoa.
those are not really options.
Yeah.
And so, what could have been one of the worst times of our life, we could have done what was easy and gone back to the UK and tried the whole visa thing all over again.
Mm-hmm.
We decided to do something a little bit crazy and different this time. And what happened was, we, over a cup of chai at midnight, we had some friends over at the house, and they're like, why don't you go to India? Now, I look Indian, but we have no family over there. We don't speak the language. And so it was a complete foreign place for us.
Whoa.
And we decided to say yes. We're like, okay, let's go to India on a whim. So we sold 95% of our stuff, packed up 4 red bags, bought 4 plane tickets, and essentially decided to travel and go to India. And that became what we were planning originally. Was like, okay, a year maybe we'll go and travel, we'll
Sure.
experience something, and then we'll come back and we'll figure it out. Turned into a 5-year global adventure.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so during that time, I was 10 years old. My sister was 6, and we essentially learned by global schooling. And so we had a really untraditional upbringing, getting to learn from experience and getting to learn from wherever we were traveling. So if we wanted to learn about the place that we were going to, like, we had that opportunity, and it was absolutely incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that really is, because let's face it, most people don't get that experience. And to have that and learn in the process, I mean, what a rich growing up experience. I mean, it could have been really ugly, but you spun it. Now, why India?
So honestly, our friends they were from India.
Okay.
They lived in the United States.
All right.
And so, like, while I have Indian descent, like, we have no family or anything over there.
Okay.
But the biggest reason was financially, it made the most sense for us. At that time, we were struggling financially.
Okay.
And we had the opportunity where my dad at the time had a position with a company where he could travel and work.
Oh, nice.
He was doing remote work before it was ever really a big thing.
BC, before COVID, huh?
Yeah. And so we were like, hey, the conversion rate from dollar to rupee is great.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, like, it will put you in a position where you probably will get to do a lot more over there, and be able to save as well while we're over there. So it turned out to be the best experience. Like, what could have been a very big obstacle turned out to be a very big opportunity for us.
That, what a great way to say that. And that can apply to other things in life too. It depends upon how you look at it, obstacle or opportunity. By the way, where in India did you travel throughout India, or were you located just kind of in one spot or one region?
We traveled a bunch through India and Asia. So, and even parts of Europe, like, we were all over the place. So
cool.
We did quite a bit inside of India. So we traveled to multiple different states. And that was incredible on its own, because every place that you go to is completely different. Language, different food, different culture.
Yes.
All under the umbrella of India. And then you have Malaysia, Singapore, like all the Asian areas, and that's incredible too.
Fascinating places. I've had the opportunity to be in India and Chennai area, and people were amazing. The food was incredible, just different, and we found ourselves in one night in the midst of a political rally that we hadn't planned on being part of, I mean, it was funny. And I think the guy running for office, his name was Mukha Stalin. And one of my colleagues, we had a team of people with us, and one of my colleagues and I stumbled onto this thing outside the hotel, and we're watching, and then these 6 guys come up with AK-47, and and they want to know who we are, what we are, and they say, you want to meet Mukha Stalin? We're going, sure, why not? So they take us in this room, guard us. Here comes this guy, this politician, click, 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 pictures smiling, so I don't know if he used us, hey, look, the Americans, they support me, whatever, but it was a fascinating experience. And Singapore too, what a great country. That is so awesome. I mean, it's, you have lived a lifetime in really just a few short years.
I really
I mean, that's so cool. And I'm going to guess, and I think I'm accurate, this affects, obviously it's affected who you are, but it affects everything you do. And did that have an impact on you getting involved in helping people to become financially smart? I said teens, but I know that you do stuff for kids, you do stuff for adults. I mean, let's face it, this is a huge issue for way too many people. Number one cause of divorce, finances. And you see so many lives being destroyed. Gambling. I had a relative who was a gambler, and I'd always hear, hey, I was off by one number. It only takes one number to be off, but I think this is a very interesting thing for you to, and very much needed. What led you to start doing this?
So I definitely think that the untraditional, I like to say unconventional upbringing was a big part of why I joined Financial Freedom.
Okay.
Here's why. School teaches us many things, but there are some things that unfortunately a lot of time get missed out. And financial education is one of those things. Now, it's not necessarily the school and the teacher's fault. Like they have to, have strict guidelines and follow certain things. And, I wish it was more in school. I think it should be. But financial literacy, as well as mental health and like mindfulness and like money matters are some of the things that are not necessarily taught in school.
Yes.
And so growing up, I was always surrounded by people that were experts in their relative field. So I could always ask someone for information and learn about things that weren't necessarily taught in school. So I learned about like neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, at 12 years old.
You lost me, but that's okay.
No, so what I can explain, like what neuro-linguistic programming, what it is essentially, how you program your mind. Things. So let's say you have a habit of biting your nails. You can use neuro-linguistic programming, and for anybody listening, I highly recommend you like go and look it up. It's essentially like, okay, breaking through the mind and rewiring certain beliefs and
interesting
habits, and it's fascinating.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I learned about that at like 12 years old. I learned about personality analysis at 12 years old. But all of these different things that are not taught in school, I got the opportunity to learn about. And so financial education was something that I didn't necessarily learn about when I was young, but money matters were never hidden from me. Like when my parents were struggling financially, I knew that they were struggling financially.
Okay.
We were doing well. Like there was always a communication around money. And it wasn't like, oh, money is not spoken of. And so at least I had that. But I wish I had more financial education growing up. And even people like my parents, when they do conversations and interviews with people, they'll say the same thing. They'll say like, hey, I wish I had the resources to be able to teach my kids the exact way, because I myself didn't know, right? So people couldn't teach what they didn't know. So it's not the parents' fault and it's not the kids' fault. It's just this lack of education and resources for people to go to start the process.
Yeah, it's like a black hole of sorts, because it's so needed, but it's almost like it's like we don't want to pay attention to it. It's like, what was that? I heard this a long time ago, like a pink elephant in the room or something. It's there, but you don't want to acknowledge it. And I'll go back to something you said earlier with your parents discussing it with you. I think that's super healthy. I really do. And obviously you're going to discuss that in a way with a 12-year-old versus a 16-year-old or whatever, kind of an age appropriate thing.
Yeah.
But I think there's some families that miss out on that, you know. I mean,
I
because
always
let's face it, you know.
I always say my first, like, if I have one tip, just one thing that anyone can take away from any time I'm presenting or sharing or on an interview or anything like that,
Yeah.
is talk about money. That's it. Just talk about it.
Wow,
Because
that's basic foundational, you know, and I mean, that's not rocket science, Shivani. I mean, that's just, but talk about it. Don't be, and I think there's other things that we do the same thing with. It's like we want to ignore it. We want to pretend it's not there. It's not happening. And let's face it, you know, kids know what's going on.
mm-hmm.
You know, it's and other members of the family know. And it's, you don't have to make it some huge public thing, but I think within the confines of a family, being able to share things like that, I think is huge. So, you know, what a great takeaway.
Advance for like the financial decisions that they're gonna make as kids. So like to answer your question though, the reason why I got involved is because I saw this gap and the
Okay.
presented itself, and because of my background of learning things that are outside the school system, I was like, this is a perfect fit.
Oh yeah.
That's how, you know, I joined Financial Freedom. And then from there, it just became, you know, something that I hold dearly, just because it's such a, it's unfortunately such a topic that doesn't get enough awareness.
It doesn't at all. Now you're like a global spokesperson or something for Financial Freedom. Is that, did I catch that in your bio?
I'm the global community champion.
Okay.
And so I that's the title that I have. But I work on, you know, the product side of things, and I get to work on the community and really be involved in many different ways. So it's really fun, and it definitely keeps me busy because it's such a lofty goal, which is, you know, to actually be able to help kids and teens, you know, be smarter around money, so that when they're actually need to make big financial decisions. Because I mean, one of the first financial decisions that a child or teen will make is to go in debt, which is around student loans. If
Yes. Yes.
Decision, the big decision that they make is a decision that's going to put them in debt, I think it's smart that we start talking about money and get them saving and get them investing and get them familiar with it before that's the first thing that they think of. And in their interaction with money. Because if that's the first interaction with money, how does that lead into the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And what is it? Something like 43 million people in the U.S. have student loan debt.
Oh yeah, it's something
I mean, it's crazy, you know, and I know there's political talk, oh, we're going to eliminate the student debt. And I graduated from, you know, with my master's degree with no debt. Okay. And I went on to do some doctorate work, still no debt. I'm not, and that's a whole nother topic, but I'm not so sure eliminating it, just saying, okay, guys, you don't have to pay this back is really the smartest thing to do. And I think, what is it? The average American has $6,000 plus dollars on their credit card, and
at least that. I think it was about 8,000 last time.
Is it 8,000? Wow. And then you said, I saw something in your material. Is it the average person has $1,000 or less in savings? Did I hear that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. We just don't know how to handle money. In fact, I was just thinking, I was in a grocery store a week ago, and I knew you were going to be on the show, and there was a grandpa with his grandson who's probably, I'm going to guess, about 10, 12 years old. So he let him go through first, and he gave him some money, and he was buying, I forget what the grandson was buying, but he gave it to the cashier. Cashier rang it up, and then he counted the cash out to pay for it, and then the cashier gave him change, and then they started a conversation, the cashier and the grandpa saying, you know, I really want to help all of my grandkids learn early how to handle money. And the cashier goes, you know, I have a 19-year-old nephew, and he is he has no clue. He can't count money. He said he's really a lost case. And I thought, wow, we're going to be talking about this a week from now. Maybe I should get his nephew to come and watch the show or something. But, you know, isn't that sad? Because student debt, I mean, it can hang, yeah.
And so that's why, whatever we do at Financial Freedom is to just lay the foundation of financial education and awareness so that they can start building good money habits moving forward. That's what
Hmm.
we're all about. We don't give financial advice saying, okay, here's what you do with this amount of money and put it in this. We don't do that. We give you all of the basics, all the fundamentals, all of the building blocks so that you never are in a place of financial struggle if you put these habits in place.
Wow. That now you have all of the, it almost sounds like a curriculum, or is it like an online program? Because I mean, I think people ought to consider this.
Sure, yeah. So it's an online platform. Um,
Okay.
what we have is we have kids material, we have teens material, and the kids material is all animated, and then we have the teen material, which is all me and I deliver it. So much more like a YouTube style of videos.
Yeah. Cool.
Inside the platform, we have games, and we're creating a space in which kids and teens, once they go through our coursework, they have the ability to like pitch a business to investors, like actual investors.
Whoa.
We have something that we're building into the platform in which, cryptos and NFTs are something that is being talked about a
Yep.
lot.
Huge.
And we're bringing that element into our platform as well, so kids and teens can start learning about this and actually being able to like mint their own NFTs within our platform too. So we have all this
Whoa.
fun, amazing like stuff where we're building into it. I like to say that we're building the next metaverse for like kids and teens and education that isn't taught in school. That's like what I personally.
No, I love it. I love it. I think that is so succinctly, accurate. I mean, from the little I know, because again, it's like you say, you can't point the finger and say, well, it's parents' fault, it's school fault. It is someone's fault because it slipped through the cracks. And you would think it would garner more attention because it's such a huge thing that ruins so many lives. It's just, and I love the fact that you're staying on top of things, NFTs, all of that stuff. You're right on the edge. So I mean, it sounds to me like this is cutting edge stuff. I feel ignorant because I like to think of myself as somebody who stays up on a lot of things, and at Utah, we want to be practical. Let's not just talk about a situation. Let's offer solutions. Here's something that will help you. Here's someone that can help you. Check this out. That kind of a thing. I was not aware of financial freedom, and I don't know how that kind of slipped through because I get a lot of news feeds every day. And I really try to be informed, especially, again, something that could help our audience. So I'm really excited that you reached out to us and we were able to set up this chat because I'm hoping that this will help a lot of people. Now, if somebody wants to check out more, because I want to come back and talk about some other things regarding this, but where do they go online?
Of course. So if they would like to look at all the different options, you can go to Financial Freedom. I actually have a gift for you guys as well for anybody listening. If you go to getfundbook.com, you can get a free copy of our free download of our book, Rethink Money for Children and Teens.
Oh, nice. What is it? Give that again.
So getfundbook.com.
Getfundbook.com.
And so you can get a free download of our book on us, and hopefully that helps you actually like start. If you're a teen, you can read it. If you're a parent, you can read it with your kids. It's really I like to say it's a tool to start those conversations and start being aware of good money habits. And so if you actually go through that book, like you'll start putting those things in place just from that alone.
Oh, I might be an adult who goes, okay, I want my free book. No, you can always learn because I have made many mistakes, financial mistakes, because I didn't really learn. I was learning how I was going, and when I was still doing, music as my only career, I was making money like, just buckets full, and I was spending more really than I was making, and it's like I have nothing to show for it. So it was a great experience, but not real smart either. So what are some of the I'm going to say core principles mainly that we start with, that you would suggest people could start? I know there's so much more in the online program and stuff, but maybe a handful of suggestions that say, okay, people start here. Here's some things to do.
I like to make things practical, so I was hoping you'd ask that question. So number one, start the conversation. If you're a teen listening to this, ask questions to your parents.
Okay.
Or online. Start the conversation. Start being willing to learn and absorb and be curious.
Okay.
If you're a parent, start the conversation with your kids and teens. Ask them like, hey, what would you do with the $100? Ask them, why would you do that? Why? Choice.
Okay.
Donate to a charity. What charity would you choose? If I gave you this much money and you had to spend it on and do 3 things with it, what 3 things would you do? Get the conversation rolling. So that's number one. That's the number one thing I would do, start the conversation. I've said
So
this
either teen to parent or parent to teen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either way, start that conversation.
Okay.
Number 2 would be, if you're a kid or teen, a really simple practice that you can start straight off the bat is anything that you receive, splitting it in 4 ways. So 50% into spend, because you're going to want to spend. You're going to want to buy things. You're going to want to go.
Of course. Yeah.
Don't spend money. Money is a tool. It's meant to cycle through. But 50% of everything you make, you get, you receive, put 50% to spend. Now, 20% you're going to put into save. 20% you're going to put into invest. And 10% you're going to put into give. Now, give is to giving back to charity. Give is choosing something that's meaningful to you. If you look at any of the speakers or influencers, people that are in the wealth space, every single one of them, no matter how successful they are, they give back. And
interesting.
It's that giving and receiving. It's a cycle of money. So 50% to spend, 20% into save, 20% into invest. And invest, it's putting it towards, actual things that you can invest in. So if, for example, you're too young to be able to, do certain things, your parents can take that money and put it somewhere. But as long as you are putting aside money with the intention of investing, now there's multiple options of things that
sure.
That, but if you start this practice now as like a kid or teen, I know that some parents do the same. It might be a little bit different, like in terms of the percentages and stuff, but that's a simple practice and habit that you can do with any get, receive, make. We also say, like, kids and teens, like, start making money early. And we're not saying it from you need to like earn money so you can thrive. We're saying from learning about money and the value of money. We found that when kids are more entrepreneurial or start a business or this and that, they learn a lot of things that can really benefit them in the future. So one of in our platform that we do is follow what we call a LEAP model. So it stands for learn, earn, accelerate, and play. So learn is learning one thing about money.
Okay.
That we do that every
Sure.
So, what's the difference between a good debt and bad debt? What's the difference between credit and debit? Like stuff like that.
Just practical stuff. I mean, just basic practical stuff.
And then in earn, we talk about one way you can earn money. So, or ideas around earning money. So whether it's an online business or an offline business or something as simple as a lemonade stand or reselling on Amazon. So we have quite a range of different things that kids.
Yeah.
Then we have Accelerate, which is all about investing and saving. What's the best principles and what's the different types of investments you can make and like all that kind of stuff. And then we have Play, which is really about like putting the habits and principles in place so you can do everything else. So mindfulness, money mindset, habits, productivity, goal setting, creating a vision board, all of those kind of things that are super important, so that they can actually implement everything else that they're talking about. Because if you're not, mentally or capable of, being productive or having good goals or anything like that, then how do you expect to implement all the things that we've talked about, right?
Yes.
So we follow that model. But yeah, number 2 would be 50% into spend, 20% into save, 20% into invest, and 10% into give.
It's such a simple formula, and I like the 10% give. Help somebody else.
Yeah.
Whatever the cause might be, and I love the idea of investing, especially when you're younger. This was something I didn't learn until I was an adult. It's, and again, I'm not faulting my parents or anything like that, or the school or anything else, but it just seems odd that this is such a life changer, positive or negative, and yet we don't talk about it. We don't have these resources. So I'm totally stoked that you're on the show with these resources, that we can make them available to people, because this is huge. It's just, and that 50, 20, 20, 10 is so easy. I mean, it's a younger person could, a young adult could learn it. I mean, it's, and you want to start it early. I mean, obviously I think it's never too late to develop some habits like this, even, adults that might be watching, listening. But if we can start early, I think we can see some lives changed in a positive way. People, this is, we're talking about making a difference. That's something we're really big on at UTalk is Go Mad. Are you making a difference? Well, you can make a difference in your own life too by developing these kinds of habits. And it's easy to develop habits that are not positive. And plus, we live in a culture that is just, it's buy, just constantly stuff. Here's this new fashion, this new car, and it's almost like overload, because there's so much coming at you, and you've got to find it. You've got to have a mindset. I like that. You said that. You've got to have a mindset that's going to enable you to focus through this. And really, in a sense, you're navigating almost through a minefield, are you not?
I mean, I think most people are.
Yeah.
Putting financial literacy to the side, I think, a lot of people struggle with everything that's going on, in the world, with themselves. Like, it's a lot. And there's, statistics and facts around how stress and mental illness is, skyrocketing. And I think that if we can put the habits and give the resources and awareness, so that there's not only one less thing to think about, but it just sets you up for success earlier, so that you don't get to that point of burnout, of feeling so disconnected. That's why we start now. We have to start earlier than later, because if you put these things in place when you're young, you're not going to fall into the traps that most people do later on. And I've talked to so many people of all different ages, and they've all said the same thing. At a certain point, they said, I wish I had this when I was young. Right? And
absolutely.
And that's what we're really trying to do is change how kids and teens, their relationship with money, the relationship with themselves. And money is just one of those vehicles that we can start the conversation around good habits, good, goal setting, mindfulness, meditation, all these different things that we know is going to ultimately help them. But money matters just happen to be one of those big topics that doesn't get taught, and it's big stressors of life. So we can prepare you for that. We can avoid a lot of stress that comes.
Oh yeah, no, and I think we got to avoid the lie, because there's that lie that says, I got time. It's all right. I got time, man. Just I'll wait. It'll be, when I'm 20, I'll do it. When I'm 25, when I graduate from college, whatever. But those habits that we establish as we're younger feed the better ability to thrive, because you've used that word a couple times, being able to thrive in life, and this entrepreneurial concept of, okay, what can I don't need a job to live on to pay my bills. I'm still living at home, but I'm sitting here thinking, going back to my drumming days, my parents told me that if I saved money, I tried clarinet, that didn't work for me. I tried piano, that didn't work for me. And I said, I want to be a drummer. They said, well, we bought you a clarinet, we bought you a piano. So if you want to be a drummer, here's the deal. You save all your money and you buy your first drum set. And if you stick with it, we'll buy you a really nice second drum set. And I'm sure mom and dad were thinking, we're off the hook. There's no way this kid's he doesn't have a job. I'm like in 6th grade. So between 6th and 7th grade that summer, I got a paper route. And I made enough money to buy my first drum set. Mm-hmm. And by the end of the first month of 7th grade, I was already in a band being paid to play at parties and dances and things like that. It wasn't any big money, right? But it was one of those situations, and mom and dad came through. I reminded them. I wouldn't let them forget, you said, and they said, you're right. We didn't think you were going to do it. So, that we can be an entrepreneur if we just think about it.
Yeah, it teaches. Right? And that's why when we tell kids and teens, like, hey, if you learn, how to be able to handle it, but also you're going to learn how to, you're going to learn the value of what goes into the things that you want to buy.
That's huge.
Right? So, the disconnect for parents listening, this is going to be really key for you, and also kids, the angle of how you talk about money is different between kids, teens, and their parents. Here's why. Parents, a lot of the times, they want to make sure you're secure. They are, sure. They're safe, they're good, right? On the other hand, kids, teens, they're there for the lifestyle. They're there for wanting to buy. Yeah. They're there for being able to travel and all of those different things.
Yes.
So there's a disconnect in the conversation. But when parents are saying, "Oh, you need to save money," kids are like, "Why? Like, I want to buy."
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
So you need to bridge that gap. And what I mean is, like, for parents, a great way to go about that is kind of what your parents did. It's like, okay, if you want this, start with that, and automatically you're going to start to learn the value of a dollar because you're working towards it, right? And then you're going to learn more about, how, your relationship to money, your habits, like all that kind of stuff. You're automatically going to start learning about it. So a great way for parents to teach their kids about money, to get them to save, is to have them earn something towards whatever the kid or teen wants.
So it could be gaming, it could be anything then, really, whatever they want.
A branded hoodie, whatever the kid or teen wants. We have one kid within our program that's saving 12, right?
Say that again, we lost you.
You're all good. I said we have a kid in our program that's saving up for a Lamborghini. He's 12.
Really?
Right? But he's learning the financial principles that's going to set him up for life, to be able to put great habits in place for money matters. But because it's linked to something that aligns with them, they're going to do so much better. Because Because firstly, they feel like, oh yeah, I'm actually getting support to go and buy or do whatever it is.
Right.
Pay for those tickets or do this or whatever it is. But they start learning the value and they start learning the principles. And you as if a parent's listening to this, you as a parent will be able to actually start those money conversations in a healthier way, versus just like, oh, save. Because kids and teens are probably not going to want to listen to you.
No. And we've got to get away from these simplistic answers like go save. By the way, I think I need to meet this kid because I always thought I would look good in a Lamborghini, being Italian, and also I need to talk to him about his strategy and see if he can help me save. No, you're so absolutely right. I mean, okay, let's think about the person that is listening to us, watching us right now, and I mean, they know they're in trouble. They don't want to admit it. It's a younger person. What is the first step to begin to turn things around? Because obviously it's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a first step?
I think firstly, becoming aware.
Okay.
I think that's the ultimate first step for any, no matter where you are in your financial journey, is where you are. So many people live blindly.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what age you are. You only become aware when you hit the point in which you have to be aware, right? And so it's super important to, take a step back at whatever age and just start actually being aware of what's going on and how you're spending your money and how you're like, I'll tell you, like, authentically, I recently went through all of the things that I'm spending money on, and I was like, I'm not even using some of these things. Like, why am I, right? And we all do that at all sorts of points in life. So taking a minute and just being aware would be my first and foremost step.
Okay, now this is gonna sound kind of dumb, but how do you become aware? Do you just take a step back and look at everything like you just did? Okay, I've been buying this stuff. I'm not even going to use it. Is that the kind of attitude to have?
I think that the first thing you can do is maybe like ask yourself the questions around money. Like, when I think of money, what do I feel? Right? And that's a great one for just your relationship with money. Because a lot of stuff can come up. Another great question is it's not even a question, it's just going through what you're spending money on. And then, let's see.
Great practical things, by the way. Great practical tips. I mean, I appreciate that.
No, everything that we do in financial, we want to make simple and fun and easy to implement. Just because money matters tend to be very complicated sometimes. Very like big jargon and this, that. We want to that and make it super easy to understand. We complicate everything as human beings.
For sure.
One of the best things to do is just, really simplify it. And, some of those things that I've said in here is as simple as you can get.
No, I absolutely totally agree with you, because we do overcomplicate things, and that creates a mess, and it's like, simplify. You know what, this great advice. Tell us again, where can people get the gift that you mentioned, and then find out more about being financially smart?
Of course. So you can go to getfunbook.com for the free book called Rethink Money for Children and Teens. And then you can go to financialfreedom.com or even go to our Instagram, and everything is there. So.
Okay, what is your Instagram so everybody knows?
So financial.freedom is the Financial Freedom Instagram. So you can go and follow everything there. If you want to follow me personally, it's Shivani Ray. So at Shivani Ray. I know I'm tagged in some posts and stuff, so I'd appreciate anybody who wants to personally follow me. But that's everything.
Cool, great. No, that's helpful. We'll put that in the notes for this show. I can't thank you enough for taking time out, and we'll have to have another conversation, because we've really, I feel, just scratched the surface of what needs to be done. And I'll tell you what, props to you for doing what you're doing, because more people need to know about this, because it would make a huge difference in people's lives. The quality of their life, the stress, the mental illness aspect. I mean, there's just so much that this could make a huge difference. So I appreciate it. it's great to get to know you, and I will look forward to a future conversation or two.
Sure. That'd be great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Shivani. We appreciate you, and we'll look forward to hearing more and seeing more from you. Guys, next week we have another special guest. Actually, the topic is going to be another one that's not on the lighter side, but on the heavier side, because this month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And, talk about another one of those things like Shivani was talking to us about with finances. This is another one that's destroying an awful lot of lives. And we want to talk about it. You know, it's, in case you haven't noticed, guys, UTalk, we want to go deeper, okay? Enough surface stuff. And when we can have quality people like Shivani and who we're going to have on next week. Remember to follow us at UTalk Radio. You can also send us a note, a comment, whatever, a question. You can text us. Text the word UTalk, and that's UTALK to 411247. You can go to utalkradio.com. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. Make sure you follow Shivani and Financial Freedom. It's going to be a great resource for you. Appreciate you being with us. We'll see you next week. And remember, go to any one of those sites I just mentioned if you want more UTalk before next week. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye-bye.